Byun is our 2016 WCS World Champion of StarCraft 2. Byun has done it!
This is Byun winning GSL in 2016 after beating SOS. And here he is 2 months later claiming victory at the WCS Global Finals. Notice anything different? When he won GSL, he made history as the first player both in SC1 and SC2 to win a major event without the need of a team. He showed everyone he could do it, and on his own. No need to do sponsor shoutouts, you can use whatever equipment you want. But then afterwards, he went on to join Team Expert, and then after that, to Shopify Rebllion. So, if he can be done solo, why join a team? In this episode, I sit down with reps from StarCraft 2 orgs and explore the not so obvious benefits of joining a team, including one I really wasn't expecting. Feels obvious because it seems like it should be money, but spoiler alert, it actually goes a lot further than that.
Moten.
All right, I'm here with Miko. All right, I want to ask you, what do you think the teams do for a StarCraft 2 player?
I think the number one thing would probably be salary, to be fair.
So they provide you with practice partners, which is the most important thing. Actually, it was amazing for the world when Byun won the World Championship because he was not a player with a team. When he won GSL Teamless, it was incredible. And then he won the World Championship, and that was like, people couldn't believe that it's possible.
I think as well as the practice element, just that nice, like, almost community feeling of, it helps motivate you. It helps motivate you to play more of the game, practice harder. You see your teammates all practicing, you're like, I need to do that as well. I think that's probably one of the main reasons.
Right, finding practice partners, figuring out travel expenses, sponsors, streaming. It's a lot of things the players need to do.
The other day, there's this discussion in Discord about how much players make. And the comment comes up, why join a team and do all that sponsor stuff when a player can just live off of Twitch subs and donations? First, that's actually a lot harder than it sounds, but I still thought it was a good question. Because back in the pinnacle of the StarCraft era, teams were the only way to sustain your career while participating in tournaments. But now, with streaming and social media, there are a lot of other ways to make money in between events. Byun showed you could win a major without a team, but players even today still look to be part of an org, so why? But it's important to note that although Byun was teamless when he won GSL, it wasn't for a lack of wanting to be on a team. If we go back to the Golden Era of 2011, Byun was on the South Korean team Prime. However, this early part of his career is full of controversy. Okay, listen to this. In the quarterfinal game against ST, admins accidentally used the wrong version of the map Metropolis. In the non-patch version, the neutral deep roll that prevents wall and abuse is missing. Byun knows this and he doesn't say anything. Instead, he exploits it, winning the match. Nesty is legit tilted, but Byun wins the series 3-0 against Nesty. Couple this with the main go-tos being all-in, super turly strats, and the hard-to-counter at the time Mass Ghost, and he starts to develop a negative reputation, which makes finding a team much more difficult when Team Prime folds and other StarCraft 2 teams are closing their doors. StarCraft 2 is a solo game, and you would think that losing a team isn't a big deal, but players keep their eye out for a new team to join for multiple reasons. I talked to the caster Byun to find out about those reasons.
Teams give you so much in StarCraft. First of all, it allows players at the highest level to be full-time pro gamers. If you're Cyril, yeah, you're winning however many thousands of dollars a year, you're gonna be okay. But if you are on the middle tier, a Lambo, for example, a Scarlet, who are very good, who do contribute a ton to the scene, but maybe don't make enough prize money to sustain themselves by itself.
Not getting number 1, 2, 3 consistently.
Because StarCraft for the longest time has been very top heavy. First place out of the $500,000 prize pool at Katowice is $150,000. You know, that's 30% of the prize pool right there. GSL is even more top heavy. So it supports these players. It allows them to actually, go full time to make this happen. And that's only one advantage, though, right? Yes, okay, full-time players that maybe don't quite make enough on prize pool. That's fine. On top of that, though, it gives you a ready-made practice structure. So Shopify Rebllion is a great example here, right? Because they have Lambo, they have Hearthstone, they have Scarlet, they have Byun. They have some of the smartest players, Lambo in particular, in the scene. They think deeply about this game, they talk to each other, they figure things out, they have practice partners. You also, of course, you get the ancillaries. So for example, we talked about Team Liquid and the player support staff they have, the sports psychologist, the training center where everyone can come together a week, 2 weeks before a big tournament and have every need catered for, and then just spend 8-10 hours a day really making yourself that much better.
When Byun was teamless, he had to do a lot of the heavy lifting himself, finding practice partners to help him move away from his abusive style. Yeah, let's compare that to being on a team that can help you arrange what you need to get done. You want to help figure out what you're losing to a certain protest strat before DreamHack? Your team manager can make that scrim happen. Flying out for an invitational? Your manager could tag along to make sure you don't say something to the border agent when he asks you, why are you entering this country to play a video game that gets you detained and misses your connecting flight? Not saying that happened. Along with those perks come obligations. Most teams don't just take on players out of charity. There's an exchange that's agreed upon. Many teams are powered by sponsors, and part of that deal, a player might have to agree to represent the team and the sponsor at events, on the streams, or throughout marketing materials. Those activities help justify taking on a player. Okay, but StarCraft isn't the darling that it used to be, and still orgs are finding new ways of justifying having players on their teams. I sat down with co-founders Chris and Hans of BASLISKS, a different type of SC2 team, that instead of traditional sponsor model, they combine science and esports. They currently have players Triggers, Serral, and Rainer among their ranks. I asked them what they look for when they bring on a new player.
Hans is sort of, he's our chief technology officer, and he's head of statistics and sort of the way that we use data-driven decision making to help select players and also figure out how to train them and the rest of it. So, but talk to us more, Hans, about Trigger.
I mean, I think most people would know, if anyone followed Trigger's career with any kind of closeness, that his rise was meteoric.
Yes,
it was
good word.
It was insane. And truly kind of looking over all the players and kind of like looking at these upward trajectories, Trigger was an obvious candidate. And what's interesting though is that data's only the first part, because it's really past that point when we went to Home Story Cup last year. And we got to meet the guy and seeing what a phenomenal human being he is and seeing the drive and the determination. So it's really a combination of kind
you
of
go past the data.
Exactly. It's like, and it's like, so it's like using the quantitative aspect to help you find
the qualitative.
Exactly. And then from there, doing the hard work of actually getting to know people and understanding how they approach their game.
So you almost kind of you make your job easier using the data to figure out who do you want to approach as opposed to approaching a shotgun approach to as many players as possible. Or does gut play an instinct into that?
It's tough to say because there's always pattern recognition, right? Because anytime that you're trying to, you'll see something in a player and you're like, oh, this reminds me of. But I think that one of the things, so before the show we started talking direct and you were like, what does it mean, or what does BASLISKS look for in a player?
Yes.
Because we obviously can't speak for other orgs, but we can talk about how
that's what we're here
about it.
Tell us.
So, I mean, one of the core pieces is beyond obvious ability, because if you can't play at the highest level, then we can't teach that part, right? Like, that's not, you have to get that done before you get to us. That's where the statistics come.
Right.
But then it's the next level. So, I mean, Hans, why don't you talk to us about growth mindset?
Love the start. So really kind of when Chris and I built BASLISKS, a big part of what we were looking for and trying to instill in the culture is this concept of growth mindset. Really kind of like the simplest way to think about it is to juxtapose it against something called the fixed mindset. So the fixed mindset is typically the belief that whatever you're already good at, you're going to stay good at. And whatever you're not good at, you're not going to get any better.
Someone's maybe thinking that they needed to be lucky or talented in the fixed mindset to get anywhere versus someone who's like, to get to the top, I may need to work harder, find my deficiencies, and break down the differences to move forward. Is that?
I mean, you got it. It's the core point is like if that's the fixed mindset, the growth mindset is simply an inversion of that. It's the belief that you can get better with effort. And that simple foundational belief kind of puts a bunch of things on their head. The way that you consider feedback. On the fixed mindset, you might take that personally and you might kind of pull back. The growth mindset understands that the first step to getting good at something is to suck. And it's okay to suck, because you have to take that first step and push through to get to a point where you can be good. And it is such a universally important aspect to kind of performance and just continued development. So really when we speak to players and we try to learn more about what motivates them or kind of how they approach their game, or just like their philosophy in general, do they have a growth mindset? So important for us.
To give you an idea of Trigger, statistically, I think the way it shakes out is that if you look at the first players in StarCraft, obviously there was this StarCraft 2 players from 0 to Grandmaster. That all happened at the beginning, right? But we have MMR and we get there.
Yeah.
Trigger is the fastest player post that time period to ever go from 0 to Grandmaster. Part of the deal there was also he had tremendous community support.
Yeah.
So if we have to get back to it, part of why we love StarCraft, I mean, Dragon, obviously your channel gets support from the StarCraft 2 community.
Yes.
Right? There are folks that come in and they want to see more of this and they want to see players, content creators, this whole ecosystem flourish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so part of why Trigger could get to where he was is he had phenomenal advisors. He had people who noticed that he had this talent, but they noticed his growth and they said, keep going, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's as simple as those little voices which allow us to escape our fixed mindsets because then he can keep going.
If in terms of support, financial support, because once a player has gotten into your org and they're playing, where does that come in terms of financial support? Because a lot of players, I'm sure a lot of people who are thinking about joining a team, it's like, I want to get paid. And like that's probably the initial thought, and they may or may not be in that space where you want to pick up because they may have that raw talent and they're like, I want to just do this full time. And how do you as a team facilitate the exchange between the org and towards the player?
For Basilisk, our job is to create an environment in which a player or a creator can focus on doing the thing that they are the pro at. That's the whole deal. So why we have Basilisk, why an esports org exists, is to take care of all the other aspects with their own pros. You have a pro social media advisor. You have a pro to help your players get from point A to point B. You have literally a pro who books their travel. All those different things are taken care of because we can't be pros at everything.
Absolutely.
It feels really good to have folks who care about your success.
After his win at GSL 2016, a rejuvenated Byun is picked up by Team Expert and went on to win WCS Global Finals 2016. They were coming along great until 2020, round of 16 game 2 against Maru. We're deep into the late game when Byun suddenly has to stop. He's in incredible pain, just clutching his wrists. He's forced to continue and loses the series, his wrists tearing at him. But it doesn't stop there. At IEM it happens again, then again. What do you do? This could actually be career-ending. Aha! But that's when Shopify Rebllion steps in, and after sponsoring a lot of StarCraft initiatives, they decide to spin up a team, and Byun is one of the first picks, offered to support him during his recovery. I spoke with TLO, who was a pro player and a legend in his own right for many years, but now is the manager of Shopify Rebllion, to get a better idea and understanding their unique offering. What is the exchange between team to player?
Right, so we're a little bit of a unique team, right? Because most esports teams are standalone esports teams that are trying to attract sponsors, trying to become, creating revenue from esports itself.
You guys are almost the sponsor. And
well, for us it's different because we are Shopify. Like Shopify Rebllion is directly part of Shopify.
Exactly.
So they are not a sponsor of us. I am a Shopify employee. And so we are marketing our company. So in the way it's reversed.
Yeah.
So we are spending money to enter esports, and so obviously that is what we're getting out of the players is marketing Shopify, and in return we're paying them. We're making sure they can grow as players, that they can travel to events, and that they have a place where they can thrive.
Yeah.
Because the more successful they are, the better it is for us. You don't have to be the best player in the world yet, but you need to understand how to get there and to improve yourself and not blame others or. So that's really important to me. And
got personal responsibility.
Yeah,
kind of thing, as opposed
like
to
good personality. We want to work with good people. Again, like if I had the choice between the best player in the world, but he's not a good person, or like the 10th best player in the world, but he's a great person, or she's a great person, I'd rather pick that person up for the team and help them beat whoever's at the top.
And when it comes to that plus performance, like performance plays a role, I presume, as well?
Of course.
And so what's kind of going to catch your eye? I'm sure there's a multitude. Is it tournament winnings? Is it stream presence, YouTube presence? Is there something in particular or all combination?
I mean, everything factors in, but for us, competitive success is most important. But that doesn't necessarily mean results here. So when you're scouting a new team, we're going to be watching tournaments, we're going to be watching streams, we're going to see, okay, is that person basically undervalued right now? And can we pick up a person before some other teams realize that person is actually up and coming? And we do that by talking to, like, we have pretty extensive interviews compared to I think a lot of teams, talking to players, making sure peers of them have a good view on that.
Is there a thing that your team in particular gives players that no other team really can compete in? What's maybe your Shopify Reblllion's unique process of, because every team has their own way of doing things, but what do you maybe lean into, or maybe?
Right. So I think the beauty of our team is, because at least right now it's just Shopify as a brand, we don't have to distract our players by putting so many contract responsibilities in there that they now have to represent 12 different sponsors. Right. For instance, we're not going to limit any hardware they're using. People can kind of show up to tournaments the way they want. They don't need to promote certain products. So what we ask of them is really to be as successful as possible for us with minimal distractions. So that's an advantage there. Players have a little bit more freedom than in other teams. But at the same time, we provide a ton of support and stability. So I think, honestly, for a player being on our team, it's one of the best deals possible.
When looking for a team to join, finding one that will help you thrive on top of providing a salary is on top of the list. To get on that team, you'll need the right attitude and the reputation to have a team be proud to associate their name with you. If you can do that and show an aptitude for winning, there's a space for you. Being a part of a team means being surrounded by people who support you.
It feels really good to have folks who care about your success.
As for Byun, Shopify Rebllion is putting its resources behind him to help him get medical treatment. Though nothing is solved, he's still playing. But with the support he needs behind him, his story doesn't end here. Practice partners and staff support are all attractive, but I think back to my favorite perk, because even though StarCraft 2 is a solo game, you don't have to do it alone.